Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, where we bring together the top SCCA road racers from around the country to compete in premier amateur road racing series. The Hoosier Super Tour visits some of the greatest racetracks, showcasing our 27 car classes and packing a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing action into every event. And you can enjoy live streaming coverage of the Hoosier Super Tour events on site or from the comfort of your own home. For more details, head on over to scca.com/live. And this weekend, we are at the home of the kazoo and the red clay at a track that only took 6 months to excavate, grade, and pave back in 1970. It scared the bejesus out of drivers for each of the last 50-plus years since. And so from its decreasing radius downhill S's to that long draftable back straight, and then onto that towering final corner. That's the first thing you see taunting you as you enter the front gate here. Let's see how our racers fare this weekend at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and we've got our first day of qualifying here at the raceway. We're watching right now as our first group of the afternoon. These are some of our touring cars: Super Touring Light, Super Touring Under, and also Touring 2. Are heading out on their outlap. These are going to be the second qualifying sessions for these drivers. To give you an idea of the format of the weekend, we had all of our 8 different race groups out on track for 25-minute qualifying sessions this morning, and we're going to wrap up qualifying not this afternoon, but actually tomorrow morning. We're going to have 5 of our 8 groups on track this afternoon. Again, 25-minute qualifying sessions, and then we'll have the final 3 tomorrow morning. And after those groups are done with qualifying, we will move on to 8 25-minute sprint races here from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and then we'll wrap things up on Sunday with more racing. And so want to make sure that you stay with us here all weekend on SCCA.com, and of course thanks to the great folks from DriversEye Live that are bringing us all the action here this weekend. So let's go, and I want to thank the great people for joining in already on YouTube. I see we've got Charlie Kramer, we've got Russ Lundberg, Brian Bielanski here. Some of the old stalwarts, if we can say stalwarts here, as we're now only just four weekends into the Super Tour in this 10-weekend series. So let's do this. Let's take a look. As I mentioned, we had our drivers out on course earlier today, and I'll give you an idea of where things finished up for them. And we'll break things down here by class. Danny Stain, 2-time national champion in STL, was our fastest driver out on course. And you'll notice now as you're watching here, is seeing our drivers circulate around the track, that the track looks quite dry. Well, it was just the opposite this morning. It was quite wet, quite damp, and had maybe half the field go out for qualifying this morning. And it wasn't really until we got to, I think, group 6 or so that we started to see more and more drivers head on track as we started to see a dry line. But now, as the sun has finally come out, I think we're going to see much bigger fields. But Danny Stain was your fastest STL driver with a time of 147.797. Salt Verency in his Acura Integra GSR, second fastest at a 152.923. So almost 5 seconds off of Danny Stain's times. Third fastest STL driver was William Knight with a 153.7, and then we had David Paulfinier and Mike Taylor, your 4th and 5th fastest drivers. Paulfinier driving a Mazda RF, the hardtop version of the NC Mazda MX-5, and I believe that was a T4 car last year. And then Mike Taylor in his Acura Integra. If we take a look at STU, Anthony Garacci out of Glen Head, New York, in his Lotus Exige was our fastest driver in that class at a 149.843. Anthony Pacelli in his Super Impreza out of Mowertown, Virginia. The number 66 machine was our second fastest driver. He had a 152.946 in the book, so almost 3 seconds separating Garacci and Pacelli. Then we had David Brand in his Lotus Exige. Brand put in a 153.66. And then we had Hannah Zellers driving her Global MX-5 Cup car, the number 74 machine out of, I believe, Holly Hill, Florida, was fifth fastest in fourth fastest in STU, and then John Dean, fifth fastest, also in a Global MX-5 Cup car. I believe those are two cars from Hickson Motorsports. Then we have Touring 2, where James Keown in the number 111 BMW M2 out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, was the fastest driver, a 153.8. Second fastest, Todd Clark, at a 154 flat. So just about 0.2 of a second separating those two drivers. And then we had Scotty B. White. We saw him just 2 weeks ago at Buckle Raceway Park out in California. Well, he's brought the Dodge Viper East, and he was our third fastest T2 car, a 154.2, followed by Aaron Kaplan. And those were the only T2 drivers to head out on track. So you can see now we've got our ticker on the left-hand side of the screen, and you can see the different classes and times throughout the field as we break things down in color codes, with the reds being STL, with the blue being STU, and then the third color there being our T2 cars. And so if we take a look now, our fastest driver on track, and let's take a look here. Currently, fastest driver on track is Anthony Garacci in his STU Lotus Exige with a 135.710. So you can see, he's almost 15 seconds faster than he was in qualifying, as we now have. And you can see on track, we've got Judson Holt. Holt is driving the Touring 2 machine, and that is a BMW M2 Club Sport that he is taking down here in real time, going through the S's and going through turn 5. So again, we're going to be bringing you over the course of the weekend, hopefully, not only these wonderful views of most of the major turns here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, but a lot of onboard coverage as well. And we want to thank Judson for putting a camera on board. And of course, those cameras are Sentinel Racing cameras from Candelaria Racing. And we'll get you some more information on Candelaria and how, if you want to, at a future Super Tour, and it doesn't have to be at a Super Tour, for your own race events, if you want to put a Sentinel Systems system in your car, you can stream directly to YouTube as well. But of course, we'd love to have those systems in your car so we can put them on our broadcast. So again, Garacci, your fastest STU machine on track, while Danny Stain is our second fastest driver on track. He's your fastest STL car at a 136.469. So almost 11 seconds faster than he ran this morning. James Keown, who was our fastest T2 driver this morning, well, he's your fastest T2 driver at the moment as well. He has a 137.364 in the books. And we have many more drivers in T2 that are out today and are putting in times besides Keown. We've got Scotty B. White, of course, Aaron Kaplan, also in a M2 Club Sport machine, Todd Clark in his BMW 330ci, Judson Holt, who we just saw on board circulating around here. By the way, that lap from Holt was his fastest, a 143.738, good for fifth right now in T2. And in STU, again, it's a 135.710 for Garacci, who set that last lap. Second fastest STU driver now out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, is Jorge Nazario, driving a Mazda Miata. Currently 3 seconds off of Garacci's times, a 138.78. What Nazario has in the books. David Brand in his Exige, now third fastest driver. He is only 0.03 of a second off of Jorge Nazario. And then we've got Anthony Pacelli, Stephen Clemens rounding out your top 5. But as we look at that, the top 5 separated now by just a little bit less than 4 seconds in STU. And here's a great story. So Danny Stain, multi-time STL champion, of course, your fastest driver on track in the class right now. Mike Taylor, with his E3, just track it, Honda, or probably I say Honda. I'm so used to saying Honda Civic for Mike Taylor, but he's been driving this Acura Integra And new engine in that car. Just did some run-in time on it 2 weeks ago to test day here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. This is his home track, and he's currently 1.1 seconds off of Staines' times. And then we've got the Honda CRX of Jose Osiris Pena, third fastest. He is only 0.8 of a second off of Mikey Taylor. With the MX-5 of Knight, the Acura Integra of Ferenczi, fourth and fifth fastest here, as we are now just about 10 minutes into qualifying. So let's do this. Let's make a call to the grid for our next group. So it is turning out to be a beautiful day here at the raceway, and again, overcast, very damp early on this morning, but the clouds are now starting to clear, and we're expecting some beautiful weather for our first day of racing here tomorrow. Admittedly, the weather conditions, the predictions don't look great for Sunday, but for those of you that joined Brian Bielanski and I for our coverage from Buttonwillow Raceway Park, you'll know that you can definitely have some amazing racing in the rain, and it really is the great equalizer out on track. And of course, although I'm here by myself today, so please in the chat there, be kind, treat me nicely. Brian Bielanski, and we're going to have some special guests as well, some guest announcers as well, both tomorrow and also on Sunday. So please, whatever I say today, don't hold it against us all. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. We're also probably going to have some guests in here for qualifying as well. I know we've got Jim Murphy, who's going to sit in during our small wings qualifying, or should be sitting in with us, and that is for race group number 3 today. So again, thanks everybody for joining us here. All right, so let's do this. Let's take a quick little break. We've got a number of great partners and sponsors of the SCCA and the Super Tour, and we certainly want to highlight them here this weekend. So we're going to take a brief break. We'll be right back with more action on the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour live from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of SCCA's Super Tour. Hoosier's mission is to be the dominant, customer-driven provider of tires to race teams domestically and internationally. Realizing Hoosier's existence and continued success is dependent upon how well we meet our customers' expectations by providing the safest, most reliable, high-quality race tires that put you in the winner's circle. For more information, see one of our trackside support personnel or the local Hoosier Tire racing dealer nearest you, or contact us at HoosierTire.com. Hoosier Racing Tires, truly designed for champions.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for the Sports Car Club of America. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Learn more at Hagerty.com. Hagerty, let's drive together.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive trailer partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because we build them with racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
For over 25 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded Hawk Performance Motorsports brake pads. Now you can have their advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or SUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With the improved HP Plus pad for that hybrid street and track feel, or Super Duty pads for tow vehicles, their all-new ER1 brake pad designed to take on even the longest race, and their all-new high-performance brake fluid, Hawk has all of your braking needs covered. Visit HawkPerformance.com and like them on Facebook or Instagram to learn more about the Hawk Performance Advantage. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
All right, and we are back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. It's a qualifying day here at the raceway. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. Thank you for joining us. And we are now 15 minutes into this 25-minute qualifying session for STL, STU, and T2. And to recap here, Anthony Garaci is your fastest STU driver on track. As a matter of fact, he's your fastest driver on track currently. Best lap time from Anthony, a 1:35.710. It looks like he's cooling the equipment down because that last time by, he was almost 20 seconds off of his previous pace. Stephen Clemens in his Toyota GR86 Cup car. And here's this is somewhat interesting to see. Of course, the GR86 Cup not due to debut in pro racing for I think another month or so out at Sonoma Raceway. So it looks like Mr. Clemens getting some seat time in. There was a big test for the GR86 Cup teams and drivers at Charlotte Motor Speedway just a couple of weeks ago. But Stephen, right now, your second fastest driver. He is about 2 seconds off of Garaci's times. Jorge Nazario in his Mazda Miata, currently third fastest in STU with David Brand and Anthony Pacelli. Your top 5 in STL, it is still Danny Stain and Mike Taylor, your top 2 drivers. 1.2 seconds separating them. Stain with a fast time of a 1:36.46. Mike Taylor, 1:37.65. Jose Osiris Pena in his Honda CRX, and I believe that CRX is on the pit lane currently being looked at as, and we've got a number of cars. Looks like the Integra of Mike Taylor on the pit lane as well here, but Osiris Pena, 43 hundredths of a second off of Stain's times, again currently third fastest in STL. William Knight, another 1.9 seconds back from there, and then Solt Ferenczi in his Acura Integra, currently fifth fastest, 31 hundredths back from Knight. Chuck Hines, who is in his Mazda Miata, driving the bright green number 57 car, the Kermit the Frog car. Actually, if you take a look at the color, we have, he's done a lot of regional racing, but definitely the last couple of years has been out on the Super Tour here. So we're taking a look right now. This is out of 6, actually going into turn number 7. You'll see that we've got a car driver's right up against the wall. It's a disabled car. We're trying to get a number on that machine right now. So obviously we've got a local yellow coming out of turn 6. That's slightly cambered turn 6, leading up to what is probably the slowest but the most important corner on the track. Now, there was a question from Brian Heitman asking about in the number 14 T2 machine, and Todd, who is currently running 6th in class in his BMW 330 Ci, was wondering why that car is now in T2. It's something I will definitely take a look at tonight. I don't answer for you on that right now, Brian, but again, we've got that local caution. We're trying to pick out which car that may be, as we have a couple of drivers now bringing their car back to the paddock. And I thought for a moment that might have been the Integra of Ferenczi, but the back end of that car doesn't look much like a Integra. We'll try and get the numbers there for you. Let's see here. But we do have now just about 5 minutes to go. So actually what we're going to do with that car disabled, looks like we're going to be throwing the checkered flag a little bit early, about 5 minutes early on the session. And we've got a number of drivers obviously now calling off their last flying laps, as they did have to slow down going into turn number 7. So let me do this. Let's go quickly run down top drivers in each one of the 3 classes. We'll make a call to the grid for the next group, and then we'll take a little break. So again, your fastest driver on track, Anthony Garaci, out of Glen Head, New York, in his STU Lotus Exige. He turns in a 1:35.710, second fastest here, and provisionally on the outside of The front row going into tomorrow's race will be our STL pole sitter, Danny Stain, in his Mazda MX-5 out of Fort Lauderdale with a time of 1:36.469. And then we've got 2 T2 cars that should be making up row number 2. James Keown, who is our fastest driver in that class with a time of 1:36.511. And then Scotty B. White, who was 0.12 of a second back from there. Aaron Kaplan in his T2 car scheduled to start on the inside of row number 3 with Mikey Taylor next to him, and Stephen Clemens and Jorge Nazario, 2 STU cars making up row number 4. And again, these are all provisional, but this should be how things play out for the start of our race tomorrow. And then 9th fastest Judson Holt in his M2 Club Sport with Jose Osiris Pena in his Honda CRX, 10th fastest. So that should wrap things up for our first group of qualifying. Let's make a final call to the grid for our next group. Attention in the paddock, final call to the grid for race group number 2, that's Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. If you could please head to the grid now, your qualifying session is next. Race group number 2, Spec Racer Ford Gen 3, please head to the grid. And so let's do this, let's take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll have that second qualifying group, and this should be fun to watch, with a large number of Spec Racer Ford Gen 3s where draft is king, and we've got the back straight to do it here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'll see who, not only, of course, will they use that during the race, but we're going to see who can use it to set fast time in qualifying this afternoon. So we'll be right back for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. All right, and we are back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for day one of the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and got a little bit of information here on that car that was off at the end of our last session. That was Jim Schlechter in the number 75 Alien Force Racing, the Nissan 300 ZX. They brought that car back to the pit lane, and we are now ready to go. Spec Racer Ford qualifying, and a very large field now heading out on the track. We'll get the final numbers here in just a moment, but let's take a look and see where we stand after qualifying this morning, where we had only 22 drivers set times in qualifying, and I think we're going to have far more than that go out for this session here. Again, the sun's starting to beat down and the track drying out. And obviously, if you didn't go out for qualifying this morning, you kind of need to go out for qualifying now, or you're going to find yourself at the back of a very large pack, as we see the racers right now coming out of Turn 7 onto that very long back straight here at Michelin Raceway, going down under braking into Turn 10A, and they'll then rise up the hill underneath the Fox Factory Bridge and begin their first flying lap. And so in our first qualifying session of the day for the Spec Racer Fords, James Goffrey, remember taking a win here in the Super Tour, I believe back in 2020, won during the Saturday race. He was your fastest driver in qualifying, a time of 1:45.461. That obviously is the bogey time that our drivers are looking to beat. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, given the fact that the track is dry now. Connor Roberts, out of LaGrange, Georgia. He was actually your fastest driver on track for about 3/4 of the qualifying session this morning. He finishes up with a 1:46.307, about 85 hundredths of a second off of James Goffrey's times. Then we have Gary Glanger out of Dallas, driving the 187 machine. He put down a 1:46.41, with Joe Colasacco and Richard Baldwin fourth and fifth fastest. Colasacco with a 1:48.411, so almost 2 seconds, actually closer to 3 seconds off of Glanger's times. And then Baldwin at a 1:48.809, another 4/10 back from there. David Dickerson, Clay Russell, two-time national champion Clay Russell. We saw him at Sebring, after a couple years out of the Spec Racer Fords, didn't light the place on fire. I'm sure he's looking for a little redemption here this week at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Clay's out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, so just north of here. Then we had Todd Vanacore, Matt Horst, and Jean-Luc Liverato, your top 10 drivers in Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. And of course, the Gen 3 cars with the 1.6-liter aluminum engined, aluminum block, aluminum head engines. Many more of them this season we're finding with the sequential SATIV transmissions that the drivers have been moving to, primarily under the guise of reliability, as the older H-pattern boxes based on an early 2000s Mazda design were being found to be well, they needed a lot of rebuilds during the course of the season for some of our fast drivers. So we had 1 year where they were a test. I think last year was the very first year that they were legal for competition and legal for the runoffs. And now, of course, we have more and more cars. As we jump over now again to onboard video, this is Ben Jacobs, who is on track now. Ben was our 21st fastest driver in qualifying this morning. Ben's out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, so I would be surprised if we don't see him at the June sprints this year. And as you can see, representing Elite Autosport, and as he now is coming out of turn 3 and rolling down the hill, probably not the fastest way, side by side. And I think that was that with Schofield? I think that was one of the Schofields, possibly Derek, that he was side by side going down into 3. He's going to lose a little time there, but you can then see coming up through turn 5 through that rise there. And this turn, always such a challenge for drivers to get right and be able to carry speed heading down towards turn 6. It might have been Brian Schofield, now that I think about it. Schofield out of Lakeland, Florida, who I think he's run the table at Sebring in Spec Racer Ford for the last 3 years running. For a moment, he was our fastest driver, but things are changing quickly here. In the drive, Rogus and Clay Russell. Clay Russell, two-time national champion in 2019 and also champion in 2018, both at Sonoma Raceway and also Virginia International Raceway. He is currently your fastest driver on track. He puts in a 1:36.390 in only his second flying lap. So lots of time for these drivers to find time here. We're only 5 minutes into this 25-minute qualifying session. Richard Baldwin, second fastest at a 1:36.507. Connor Roberts with a 1:36.603. Well, that was third fastest for the moment, but Richard Baldwin out of Covington, Louisiana, he jumps up to third fastest now at a 1:36.567. And we've got Joe Colasaco sitting there right at the top 5. But you know what? I'm going to hold off for a second because times are a-changing and drivers are getting faster. Russ Turner, who I believe started on the outside pole at the runoffs this past year. Russ Turner now is your fastest driver on track, a 1:35.456, almost 0.8 clear of Brian Schofield. Bobby Sack, now two-time national champion out of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, driving the number 19 machine. He is your third fastest driver. Clay Russell, as quickly as he went to the top of the leaderboard, he found himself in fourth. Now he finds himself in second. Things are moving too quickly here for me as David Dickerson now moves up the fourth fastest. And Bobby Sack, who was just talking about a second ago, he's now all the way down in fifth position. So real tight, close racing. Hey, real quick, let's do this. Let's make a call to the grid for our next qualifying group, and then we'll get back to the action here from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And as I mentioned, we're going to have 5 groups of qualifying this morning. So, of course, we're working our second qualifying session of the day right now. We'll have our small wings group here coming up next. Then we're going to have those big bore cars, and we're going to wrap things up this afternoon with Spec Miata. They will be our last qualifying session of the day. And then we will have our remaining race groups, groups 6, 7, and 8. Our production cars, our larger winged and prototype cars, and also some more touring cars. They will go out for qualifying first thing tomorrow morning, starting at 8:05 a.m. And then we hope to start racing tomorrow right around 9:50 a.m. And of course, all those times are Eastern. All right, so I think now things have maybe calmed down a little bit here out on track. Russ Turner, again, sitting at the top of the leaderboard, new fast time, a 1:35.3 with now a 1900th of a second, we'll call it 0.2 of a second, advantage over Mark Eaton out of Ogali, Florida. Mark now for the first time showing up in the top 5. He's your second fastest driver in the number 92 machine. He's got a 1:35.500. Then it's Richard Baldwin, another, and of course, as soon as I start saying that, things change up at the top of the leaderboard again. Behind Mark Eaton, it's Richard Baldwin. He's 0.6 back from Eaton. Then Bobby Sack, who a moment ago was 4th fastest. He is now 5th fastest, and that is because Brian Schofield, once again, goes to the top of the leaderboard. And so, you know, we're seeing a lot of action here, and things are moving around considerably. Whereas on that last lap where Schofield set the new provisional pole, he set a personal best in Sector 1, he set an overall best in Sector 2, and he set a personal best in Sector 3 for that 1:35.091. Let's take a look. We have another driver who I believe is on a flyer right now. David Dickerson has turned in personal best in Sectors 1 and Sector 2, but he's a little bit off in Sector 4. Dickerson is going to hold station at 6th fastest with a time of 1:35.838. All right, let's see here now. Richard Baldwin moving up to second fastest to 135, 127. And Russ Turner now, as he finishes up Sector 1, he's got a personal best in Sector 1. He should be heading into Sector 2 right now, a little bit off of best time in Sector 1, a matter of fact, or probably in Sector 2, a matter of fact, almost half a second off of Brian Schofield's last Sector 2 time. So don't look like we're going to have a fast time set by him. John Green now moves up to sixth fastest, personal best in Sectors 1 and 3, a little bit off in Sector 2, but best speed in the speed trap. So he puts in a 135.8. He is now your sixth fastest driver. All right, so let's do this as we now have just a touch under 14 minutes remaining in this 25-minute qualifying session. Let's take a quick break. We'll thank some of our sponsors, and we'll come back with more qualifying action here in Spec Racer Ford in the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour live from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, brakes, and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts both on the street and on the track. As official tire retailer of Sports Car Club of America since 1995 and sponsor of the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, Time Trials Nationals and National Tour, and Track Night in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
Summit Racing Equipment, the official high-performance source and proud sponsor of the SCCA Road Racing Program, is celebrating its 55th anniversary as the world's speed shop.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for the Sports Car Club of America. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Learn more at Hagerty.com. Hagerty, let's drive together.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of SCCA's Super Tour. Hoosier's mission is to be the dominant, customer-driven provider of tires to race teams domestically and internationally. Realizing Hoosier's existence and continued success is dependent upon how well we meet our customers' expectations by providing the safest, most reliable, high-quality race tires that put you in the winner's circle. For more information, see one of our trackside support personnel or the local Hoosier Tire racing dealer nearest you, or contact us at HoosierTire.com. Hoosier Racing Tires, truly designed for champions.
And welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and we've got a ton of action on tap here for you throughout the day. And I think for the very first time in quite a while, somebody didn't retake the provisional pole. But Brian Schofield, for the moment, is your fastest driver in the session, a 134.983. The time in the books. Clay Russell, a 135.005. He is 22 thousandths off of provisional pole right now. Richard Baldwin, another 1400ths of a second back from there with a 135.127. Then Joe Colasacco and Charles Russell Turner rounding out your top five. And if we take a look at this, there is only 32 hundredths of a second separating our top five. And if we roll things all the way down to the top 12, 91 hundredths of a second separating our top 12. Actually, let's change that up a little bit. It's actually 95 hundredths separating the top 10 now, as we have a new provisional pole sitter. It's David Dickerson at a 134.785. To give you an idea of where he was earlier on today, David Dickerson, fastest time for the Wall, New Jersey driver, a 149.059 this morning in qualifying, so almost 15 seconds faster than what was set this morning. And again, it was a very damp track this morning. Hey, Guile the car guy, I want to thank you. I guess we could toot our own horn here, can't we, Brendan? Where Guile the car guy says this is better coverage than the Trans Am series, and I hope when he says "ha ha," he wasn't laughing at us. But thank you very much if that is the case. And Jeff Lucas, the professor, is watching us on YouTube, and he wonders if it's the same Ben Jacobs who used to be in the D.C. region. And Jeff, I think it is. Hey, I'm the same Gregg Ginsberg that's going to be at the driver's school with you next weekend. So at Summit Point Raceway. Hopefully you don't forget who I am. Here, so we got David Dickerson. He's your fastest driver on track. Brian Schofield, Clay Russell, Russell Turner, Richard Baldwin, your top 5. And I was just telling you how much time is separating the top 10 or top 12 drivers right now. Almost exactly 1 second separating David Dickerson in first, down to John Green in 12th. It wasn't John Green at the top of the leaderboard for a while. He now finds himself 12th fastest here in the group. As we go now to a little bit more live coverage on board with Ben Jacobs. Again, Ben's out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, driving the number 71 machine for Elite Autosport. You can get some information there. You can see, well, it looks like the speed is maybe not functioning correctly with the Spec Racer Fords, but we've got lap times in there as well. As you can see him coming out of that coming out of turn 7 onto the back straight here, and it is so critical to get a good dig out of turn number 7, in race conditions here, so that you can set yourself up. I mean, obviously the best and prime position to pass going down into turn 10 here down at the bottom of the hill. Now you'll notice that as we saw Ben come out of 7 and go down the back straight, there is a car off driver's right up against the wall. There is a local caution out there, but as long as you're not trying to pass somebody mid-straight, you should be okay. The rest of the course here at the moment is all under green flag conditions, as Ben now coming out of turn 12 and rolling down the hill. And let's see what Ben Jacobs turns in. Let's take a look. Give me 1 second and I'll pull up Ben Jacobs' times. It's going to take me a moment. Where is the number 71 machine? Everybody help me. Everybody help Greg. There he is. Ben Jacobs, a 140.804 is his fast lap. That time a little bit off his best, a 141.296, currently 33rd fastest in the field, as we're watching as he goes and tries to put in another fast lap here. But you can see a lot of these drivers working together, using that draft. Lots of pairs finding their way around this Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta course, as we now have 6 minutes and 35 seconds remaining here in qualifying, or as you can see there, maybe a little bit less than that on the clock. Charles Russell Turner, your fast driver on course now, as he has just now lowered that provisional pole time once again, a 134.723, but he is only 62 thousandths of a second clear of David Dickerson, driver of the number 38 machine, again out of Wall, New Jersey. So we've got 2 Northeast Division drivers here. Russell Turner, who represents the Washington, D.C. region. David Dickerson, who I believe represents the South Jersey region, currently running 1-2. Brian Schofield out of Lakewood, Florida, national champion in his own right, just about half a second off of Russ Turner's provisional pole time, only 0.2 of a second off of Dickerson's time for second. And just got word, actually neat to have James Candelaria from Sentinel Systems in the chat. I mean, this is the kind of service that you get from James. He said it's hard to get a good ground for the GPS antenna on the Sentinel Systems. And in order to be able to pull the speed, Sentinels pull the speed via the GPS. They're not tied into the speed position sensor or anything, or a speed sensor on the car. And he says he's going to work on that, make sure hopefully he'll have it working great for the race. And so James is here on hand this weekend. As we can see, it's getting awfully tight there over in turn number 6, as we just had the number 31 machine. That's Clay Russell sneak by underneath Ben Jacobs and come on to the front straight. And Russell currently 4th fastest driver here in qualifying. And I want to thank Stephen Miller, Chef Stephen, who may actually be watching us from Virginia International Raceway this weekend. Stephen, a stalwart and a volunteer with the SCCA's Time Trials National Tour. They are at Virginia International Raceway this weekend. I want to thank him for joining in and watching. And we're doing our best, Stephen. All right, as we now have just under 4 minutes remaining in qualifying. You can see there on the ticker on the left-hand side, about 3 minutes and 35 seconds for this second qualifying session. And again, because the first qualifying session was in the damp, likely our first Spec Racer Ford race of the weekend tomorrow will be based on the fastest times from this group. To give you an idea, we have, of course, our 25-minute races. We've got the 25-minute races, tomorrow. Then we also have a feature race on Sunday for each one of our 8 race groups. And that feature race is going to be either 35 minutes or 19 laps, whichever comes first. And so what ends up, the way we end up setting the grids is that for the sprint race tomorrow, the 25-minute race, we set the grid based on the fastest time from either of the 2 qualifying sessions today. But for that feature race, for that 35-minute or 19-lap race on Sunday, the grid is going to be set by the fastest lap set either during one of the qualifying sessions or that sprint race tomorrow. So it essentially makes that sprint race a qualifying session as well. And so we'll see how things play out. Again, we're supposed to have some very good weather here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia tomorrow. And that starting position for the feature race may be crucial, because I'm hearing that the weather might not be so glorious here on Sunday. All right, so as we're getting down towards the end of the session, only 2 minutes remaining. Looks as though a lot of our field now heading back to the pits. Connor Roberts in the number 146 machine out of LaGrange. He was one of our fastest drivers in the damp this morning. Connor was our 2nd fastest driver on track this morning in the damp. No, don't throw up that weather flag or that weather app yet. No, Zach, no, don't scare everybody off. But Connor was our 2nd fastest driver this morning. He just sets his personal best, a 1:35.118. That is good for 5th fastest in the session right now. And I think we were talking earlier about in Group 1 where we had Scotty B. White and his Dodge Viper who'd come across the country and ran his Viper 2 weeks ago at Buttonwillow. We've got a driver, I believe, in this group who has done, well, I was going to say he's done the same thing, but he's not from California. Charles Pigeon out of Abilene, Texas, was racing just 2 weeks ago at Buttonwillow Raceway Park. He was scheduled to appear this weekend. I don't have a time for him this session. I'm wondering if maybe he's that driver off on the outside of turn 7 going down the back straight, but again, no time for him. Whereas we do have 35 other drivers that have put in times. As we're now under a minute, and our starter stand, the flaggers there holding the checkered flag out, and I think we are very close to seeing that checkered flag fly. And there you go, checkered flag is in the air. First driver to cross the line is the 04 machine. And all 5 drivers, of course, their sessions ends to the 0-4 as Greg Miller crossed the stripe and 28th fastest. But all drivers ahead of Mr. Miller, they are on their last Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'll see if anybody can improve upon their times. Judson Holt in the number 188 machine is in the 27th fastest time on his last lap, a 138.321. So the 188 car moves up a bit in the order. Ben Jacobs, who we've been following along, he just puts in his fastest lap with a 139.155. Maybe when we all weren't spying in on him, he felt a little less self-conscious. Puts in his fastest lap of the session for 29th. So let's take a look here as I believe the majority of our top 20 runners have already brought their cars back to the paddock. And after 2 qualifying sessions, your fastest driver on course was Charles Russell Turner out of Montpelier, Virginia. That blue number 23 machine turned a 134.195. 35 hundredths of a second clear of Brian Schofield out of Lakeland, Florida. David Dickerson was your 3rd fastest driver. The Wall, New Jersey driver put in a 134.785. That is good for the inside of row number 2 here, and about 6/10 off of provisional pole. Clay Russell is scheduled to start 4th tomorrow morning with Connor Roberts, Richard Baldwin 5th and 6th, Bobby Sack and Joe Colasacco 7th and 8th. That'll be row number 4. Then Gary Glanger and Mark Eaton. Mark Eaton out of Eau Gallie, Florida, turned in his fastest lap of the session on his very last lap, a 135.391. He's scheduled to start in 10th. All right, so let's take another quick break, and when we come back, we will bring you more action here from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Our next qualifying group up is going to be Formula 600, Formula F, and Formula V, and we got a whole bunch of them on the pit lane right now. So you are watching the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour live from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. All right, and we are back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and I've got some special guests with me here today. I've got Jim Murphy, a stalwart and probably the biggest advocate for Formula 600, Formula 500, Formula 440. And let me make sure that you are...
Am I here?
Yep, you are here. And let me bring up some volume so I can hear you a little bit better. There you go.
Am I
Very
there?
good.
Yeah,
And then we've got Jason Conzo along with us as well. Jason, why don't you tell everybody what you drive? And looks like you were just out on track a few moments ago. And what do you drive?
Yeah, I had a blast driving the FE2 around Michelin Raceway. It's first time here, great time at the track. Yeah, and I just wanted to give a special shout out to DeGrow American. It's a injured veteran run flag company, one of the largest in America. It's a close family friend, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Jarotowski. He runs the one of the oldest running flag businesses all over America. They do city, state, and national flags. It's a huge, all the proceeds go back into injured veterans, and I just want to give a huge shout out, close family friend. There's a lot of flags that need to be put out there. I'm always looking around. Even Road America could use a couple nice American flags. They do big 5x9.5 and 3x5. If you ever need anything, you could follow them right at DeGrow American on Facebook, or do DeGrowAmerican.com for all your flag needs.
Very cool. Now, Jason, I don't know if you want to stick around for a little while. Obviously, we've got our open wheel group, our first open wheel group of the weekend out right now. Of course, Jason this morning in qualifying in those damp conditions was your fastest FE2 driver in qualifying today, pipping Paul Schneider by I think almost 0.8 of a second. So a pretty substantial margin there. How was that qualifying session? And I guess by the time you went out, it was starting to maybe see a dry line come out just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. There was very slowly the dry line was starting to form. I was a bit nervous when I was leaving my Airbnb this morning. I saw it was damp out. I was like, it's not looking too good. But I was surprised. Definitely some slipping and sliding out there. But huge thanks to the motion guys. They were able to set the car up, and I was just glued down to these beautiful 4.5 mile strip of pavement.
Now you're from the Northeast. You're from New York State. How is this your first time racing here at Michelin Raceway, or have you put in some time here previously?
Yeah, this is actually my first time down here. One of my first times back in the South. Funny enough, Bailey showed me my first grits and sweet tea. So it was a great time.
Not only is Bailey Monette your reigning national champion in FE2, but he is a connoisseur of good southern food, and yeah, absolutely, showing you the best of the South here.
The Southern hospitality is real, I can tell you that for sure.
Very, very cool. All right, so Jason, let's take a look here, and Jim, don't worry, we'll bring you in here in just a moment. I just wanted to, of course, we were talking a little bit about Jason's first qualifying session. Let's also take a look here for just a moment at our qualifying session from this morning for this group, for Formula V and Formula F, and also Formula 600. The majority of the drivers that went out for qualifying were in Formula F, where Callum Baxter, from driving, I believe, one of the Pelfrey cars, the number 65 machine, was your fastest driver on course, but really tight running here in Formula F with a 143.561. Matteo Naranjo out of Edwards, Illinois. Not all that far off, 2800s back with a time of 143.47, and then Eli Navarro driving the 01 machine. He's out of Fisher, Indiana, 144.101. In Formula 600, I believe we only had 2 drivers, Jim, go out for qualifying in the morning here.
It was too wet.
Yeah, it definitely was. Let me bring that down just a little bit here. As we had Calvin Stewart, former national champion, put in a time of 155.551, and then had Russell Straight put in a 210.65. And then we had a number of Formula Vs out there. Jonathan Weishite was your fastest Formula V driver, the driver of the JK Technologies machine out of Baltimore, Maryland, a 2-minute .827. And that was just about a half second up on Trevor Carmody, with Donnie Isley third fastest in qualifying. So,
Yeah. I've got a grit story.
You have a grit story, okay?
6 years old, and I've never eaten grits yet. I'm born and raised here in Atlanta, and my grandfather took me to the original first Waffle House.
Okay.
And he said he had the cook prepare every single variation of it in little cups. And the little 6-year-old kid tried each one of them. No. Sugar and butter. What do you mean? You're a 6-year-old kid.
Well, all of us in here are making strange faces.
Now that's how you learn how to eat grits. You try every combination out there, and Waffle House will prepare them.
Oh my!
I was at
just little samples. Everyone in Waffle House knows every combination. You know that. And try them all and see which one you like the best. Now, a 6-year-old kid like I was, sugar and butter. And to this day, 74 years old, I still do sugar and butter.
I was lucky enough. Compret had some beautiful shrimp and grits.
Oh, that's different. That's totally different.
And then also the sweet tea was amazing. I mean, I've only had the bottled stuff, and they said, "What? Are you kidding me?" They poured me a glass, and honestly, I have to say it's one of the best things I've ever had. It was so good.
That's so cool. You gotta learn the South.
All right, real quick, here is we're watching one of our Formula V drivers taking an early exit. That was the number 61 of Jonathan Weisheit, who was our fastest driver in qualifying this morning. Weisheit taking the number 61 machine back behind the wall. And he is currently your 5th fastest driver in Formula V, so how the tides have turned once things dry out here. So let's take a look, as we're now about 8 minutes in. Actually, before we go and make that rundown, let me make a quick call to the grid for our next group. All right, so let's take a look here as just as I'm finishing up that announcement, jumping to the top of the leaderboard in Formula F. Your fastest driver on track currently out of St. Cloud, Florida, is John Robinson, a 1:32.783. That fast lap time. Porter Aiken with a 1:32.205, almost 4/10 off of Robinson's times. He is second fastest, with Joe Colasaco third fastest, another 2400s back from Aiken. Then Mateo Naranjo at a 1:30.136 back, a 1:33.594 at the time, and then Eli Navarro in the 01 machine, another 12,000ths of a second back from there. He is 5th fastest. If we take a look at Formula V, Mitchell Ferguson is your fastest driver on track currently, with a time of 1:46.374, so about 14 seconds faster than they ran this morning in qualifying in the wet. Donnie Isley, your second fastest driver, a full second back from Ferguson. Trevor Carmody, another 6200ths of a second back from there. And then Stephen Davis, Russ Fredericks, as we've got a car that has gone off track, I believe, between turns 5 and 6. So making that run, let's see if you can see the standing yellow flag there at the corner station at turn 5, and it looks like, as we're going to need to bring out some emergency services teams to pick that car up, we are going to be going to a black flag condition. So all of our drivers on course, they will be coming back to the pits, and a number of them are making their way down the pit lane now. But actually, that is not a stationary flag. That is a waving yellow right by turn 5. So most likely, that car that had issues coming out of turn 5, and unfortunately, I don't think we've got a good view of it here, is in a precarious position. That's why they've got the waving yellow over at turn 5. And Jim, I was just going to get in here as we're going to black flag. In Formula 600 right now, Corey McLeod is your fastest driver. He's got almost 2.7 seconds up on Calvin Stewart, with George Bugg third fastest. And George is about 3 seconds back from Calvin. about 5.5 back off of provisional pole to Jack Walbrin, fourth and fastest.
Now, I expect Calvin Stewart will end up being the fastest eventually. Corey just rebodied his car. He's got a really slick body on it, so I expect him to be fast. George Bug, yeah, he'll be up there in the top 3. Those are going to be your top 3 of the class without Clint McMahon here. And so, yeah, how close they get to the track record, that's a good question.
All right, so we're going to have to take a little break. And thanks from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk about why multi-time national champion Clint McMahon is not here, because I think he had originally planned to come out and race with us this weekend, but due to circumstances was not able to. In the meantime, I want to thank Jason Conzo for joining us here today for qualifying. Good luck. You've got your qualifying session, your second qualifying session tomorrow morning, and of course your first race will be I guess tomorrow afternoon after lunch. So thanks so much for Jason Conzo, currently our provisional pole sitter in Formula Enterprises 2 after one qualifying session.
Thank you very much. It was an honor and a pleasure.
All right, there you go, Jason Conzo, everybody. All right, so let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll find out the story behind Clint McMahon, and we'll get some more information here on qualifying on the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories both on and off the track, which is why Sunoco has trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, NHRA, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRaceFuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive trailer partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because we build them with racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
For over 25 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded Hawk Performance Motorsports brake pads. Now you can have their advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or SUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With the improved HP Plus pad for that hybrid street and track feel, or Super Duty pads for tow vehicles, their all-new ER1 brake pad designed to take on even the longest race, and their all-new high-performance brake fluid, Hawk has all of your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com and like them on Facebook or Instagram to learn more about the Hawk Performance Advantage. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Get more bang for your buck at summitracing.com. Choose from millions of in-stock parts from over 1,500 name brands, parts for racing, street performance, trucks, plus tools, accessories, and more.
All right, and we are back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. We've got our third qualifying session of the afternoon here. Formula V, Formula 600, Formula F, but we are under black flag conditions. And let's do this before we get back to Jim. Because I'm just totally flustered here being by myself today. Everybody take it easy on me. Want to just read this. If you like what you see today, become part of the action by joining Sports Car Club of America. Whether you want to drive, flag, or have fun with cars, SCCA membership opens the door to all kinds of motorsports to feed your obsession, along with 65,000 like-minded members ready to be your friends. Ask someone trackside how to get involved, or visit scca.com for more information. And so, of course, I just completely botched that. But Jim,
Yeah.
so we've got a little bit of time here.
Okay.
Obviously, and as we've mentioned here in Formula 600 right now, Corey driving his Red Devil, and now he
with a
refers
brand new body,
which he now refers to as the Red Devil Aero, A-E-R-O, not
and
A-R-O.
yeah, it is very aerodynamic.
Is it?
It's almost very much like Calvin Stewart's. Calvin Stewart puts a lot of emphasis on the aerodynamics on
sure.
his car,
And
so it pays off.
It does, and you can see there as they're lifting that red Formula F. They took him to the crossover road there, just past turn 5. He's back behind our timing tower there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right now Corey's got, I think, almost over a 2.5 second advantage on the rest of the Formula 600 field here. And just to talk about how that translates here, he is at the moment, let's see here. Let's see if I can get he is currently 13th fastest overall, so 12 Formula F machines ahead of him right now. But Calvin currently 18th fastest. So
that's a surprise.
It is, and of course, you know, we're not going to see Calvin race tomorrow, obviously on the Sabbath, and so I mean, there's the opportunity for Corey to go and put in a faster time during the race tomorrow, and perhaps open up even a larger gap on the start for that feature race, for that 35-minute race.
And Corey has been not racing for a while as he gets his body done, and this is his first weekend with it. So he's learning this car all over again.
All right.
And so for him to do this well, I am very impressed.
All right, so Jim, we've got cars heading back out on course to go and complete the qualifying session. We've got about 8 minutes remaining here in qualifying, and I just noticed that we had a very large contingent, all the Pelfrey drivers that were on the pit lane together, and they're going to be going out into one big drafting train. Matteo Naranjo, Callum Baxter, Dylan DeFonts, who I think both Dylan and Karsten are here for their very first races at not only at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, but their very first races overall. One is 19 years old, one is 17 years old. Looks like Calvin Stewart is still on the pit lane, and they've got the body off. Exactly.
And that tells me there's something seriously wrong with the car.
Yeah.
Because they don't take the body off unless they have to, like that. And Russell Straight is running this weekend with a brand new, first time the wheels are rolling car.
Oh, really?
Yes. So he's got teething issues. He's sitting down there.
Yeah, he's right behind him on the pit lane.
Yeah, but he's sort of laid back about it.
Hey, and it looks like when they came out of the black flag condition, I think Jonathan Weisheit, driver of the number 61 Formula V, who had taken his car back behind the wall early on, has actually now gone down the pit lane and may be rejoining the fray. We'll have to take a look at that. I was mentioning that big pack of Pelfrey cars. We also had Ken Boquillan as well as David Adorno, who's making his return Pelfrey this weekend. A pretty neat story that they have been working with, and all of a sudden I can't find the name of the firm. Oh, it's Britton West. From up north, that they're working together with them, and a couple of events during the years they partner up, and they have actually, Pelfrey has so many customers at this point, they've actually had to get a car from Britton West to put one of their drivers in this weekend, as it looks like we've got one of the emergency services vehicles, one of the wreckers, looking to bring one of our Formula 500 machines.
Yeah, Formula 600. It looked like it's going to be Russell's car that they're getting ready to hook up to, because that's the way they're setting it up. And with it being a brand new car, that's understandable.
Exactly. All right, let's do this, Jim, real quick. Let me make a call to the grid for the next group, and then we'll find out why multi-time national champion Clint McMahon isn't here this weekend. Tell me, why do we not have Clint McMahon here this weekend?
At his home track, of all things.
That's right.
Yeah, about 10 days ago, he started getting his car ready, and he discovered water in the crankcase.
Oh, that's not good.
Okay.
That's something you find up north when you forget to drain the water.
Something's going on,
Yeah.
and so he's going through that. But plus, he's working 12-hour days. Ever since COVID hit, his company that he works for is a national company. He's flying all over the country as well, so he travels a lot. And he barely has enough time to turn sideways,
let alone turn a wrench.
Yeah. That kind of thing. And one of our customer cars, Craig LaPrade's car, is there, And then Clint was sitting there, should I rent that car from Craig or not, or run that one instead? But he looked at the weather and he said, it's going to rain.
Well, we know how much Clint loves racing in the rain, right?
Yeah, he is a rain master.
I
He
know,
can do it. He
I
can
know.
do it. But he said, if I mess up my customer's car,
Yeah, that's a problem.
so he's not here this weekend, and he is not a happy camper. It's like withdrawal pain, you might say.
All right, and we've got waving yellow flags over at the exit of turn number 7. And we'll see if we can get a look. Yeah, if you take a look, driver's right, just out of turn 7. And this Jim, not uncommon is you have drivers come out of turn 7. If they drop a wheel over and just a little bit over the edge of that curbing, and you can see all the dirt, all the red Georgia clay that's been torn up on the outside of the curbing there, driver's left, you end up coming and cutting all the way across the track and into that tire bundle, and you can actually see I think the front wheels of what looks to be a Formula F poking out onto the track there. My guess is that is going to bring out either a checkered flag or a black flag, and it indeed has now brought out the checkered flag on the session. Yeah, so we're going to have emergency services vehicles there going to get that car, but that, Jim, has brought an early end to our qualifying session here. Not that early, only about 3 minutes early.
Yeah.
But let's do this. Let's take a look at how things are finishing up, because I don't think, given where that incident is, I don't know if we're going to see any new fast lap set. Porter Aiken is your fastest Formula One driver. He's out of Alpharetta, Georgia. He's got his home track right here. A 1:31.000 is the time. Eli Navarro, driver of the number 01 machine, your second fastest driver. He's 6,800 back with a 1:31.68. John Robinson out of St. Cloud, Florida, on his last full flying lap, he puts in a 1:32.09. Mateo Naranjo, fourth fastest. Joe Colasacco, fifth fastest, and that is out of a field of 17 Formula F machines. That is absolutely amazing. All right, so getting word now, it is the 85 machine that is off, and that is David Livingston Jr. Big surprise. David Livingston was your Super Tour champion, I think, back in 2017, and
Always a front runner.
Yeah, always a front runner in Nashville, Tennessee, in his Spectrum. And hopefully not a lot of damage done to that car there, but they're going to have to send our emergency services teams out to pick him up. Let's take a look at Formula 600, where George Bugg is going to now finish up. He managed to beat out Corey, and so George Bugg with a 1:35.791, 72, almost 73 hundredths of a second faster than Corey's Red Devil AERO Arrow. Jack Walbrin moves up to third fastest in his Scorpion, putting in a time of 1:39.067, and then Cal Stewart, Russell Straight, rounding out the top 5. Jeff DeLong out of Atlanta, scheduled to appear.
He's here. I don't know why he didn't come out.
Yeah, did not turn a lap, and I don't think Jeff turned a lap in the morning qualifying either.
He did not turn a lap. And Russell's car is on the hook, not being towed. So that means that something's wrong with the transmission area.
All right, sounds like, it was a problematic end of the session. We've got a car that was also off, and this might have also brought out the yellow flag over at turn 10. And it's sounding like it might have been we're trying to get a number, the 60s, and actually the 66 of Jeff DeLong is the car that's over there.
I didn't see him go out at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, and as a matter of fact, we've got him on the view right now. We can see him.
Okay, now I see him. Yeah, I see him there.
Yeah, maybe he might have gone out after the black flag. Yeah,
gotcha.
And so he went off. And so if we take a look at Formula V, it was Mitchell Ferguson, Donnie Isley. Ferguson with a 1:46.374. Donnie Isley 1 second back from there. Then Trevor Carmody, another 62 hundredths back. with Stephen Davis. Great to see Stephen out here driving that number 80 Vortec, Russell Fredericks, and then Jonathan Weisheit, who I guess actually taking a look at the number of laps, Weisheit did not manage to set another lap after the black flag. Looks like he did those first 3, pitted in, and that was it. And he goes from being the fastest in qualifying 1 to not the fastest, 6th fastest in qualifying 2. All right, so let's do this, Jim. We're going to take another break, and I think we're going to bring on and thank some of our partners and sponsors. I want to thank Jim Murphy for joining us here for qualifying this morning. Again, whenever we have questions about Formula 600s or their drivers throughout the year, Jim is the one who offers up his time and expertise.
Of the series.
Yeah, for the Formula 600
we
Challenge.
We have several sponsors that support us, that help us out. And it really does help. And we have a Facebook page, Formula 600 and FMOD, and also Formula 600 Challenge. So 2 Facebook pages. Anybody that's interested in trying to learn, get on with us, because we're a great entry-level class, and that's the whole idea, is to get you to come out and try it.
Exactly. All right. So Jim Murphy, thanks so much for joining us here today. And not saying he won't be, but we might see Jim and hear from Jim a little bit more this season as it unfolds. So thanks so much, Jim Murphy.
You got it.
And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's the Ground Pounders, it's the Big Bore Group, and we'll have them in just a few moments.
For over 25 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded Hawk Performance Motorsports brake pads. Now you can have their advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or SUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With the improved HP Plus pad for that hybrid street and track feel, or Super Duty pads for tow vehicles, their all-new ER1 brake pad designed to take on even the longest race, and their all-new high-performance brake fluid, Hawk has all of your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com and like them on Facebook or Instagram to learn more about the Hawk Performance Advantage. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, brakes, and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts both on the street and on the track. As official tire retailer of Sports Car Club of America since 1995 and sponsor of the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, Time Trials Nationals and National Tour, and Track Night in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories both on and off the track, which is why Sunoco is trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, NHRA, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRaceFuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Shop anytime, anywhere with the Summit Racing app.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
Want to get on track but not quite ready to dive into wheel-to-wheel action that you're seeing this weekend? Check out Track Night in America, driven by Tire Rack, the one-day, low-pressure, fun with your street car events at more than 30 racetracks across the country. It's where you can go as fast as you want, learn from stellar coaches, and leave with a big old smile. Visit tracknightinamerica.com to learn more. All right, so we are back here at the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, live from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and we will be joined tomorrow by Brian Bielanski when we go racing. Actually, before we go racing, when we wrap up qualifying, starting at 8:05 tomorrow morning. That's Eastern time, of course. And now we've got the big ground pounders on track. We've got our GT, our largest and fastest GT cars. We've got the Class GT1, GT2, GT3, as well as GTX, which are primarily for homologated race cars like FIA GT4 cars. But we also see some prototype cars in here as well. We also have our Prototype 1 and Prototype 2 classes as well. And I could spend a ton of time right now going and running down how qualifying worked out this morning, but it's not going to take a lot of time because we only had 4 drivers go on course this morning for qualifying in Big Bore. We had Simon Asselin in his GT2 Porsche 911. He's from Sammamish, Washington. He put down a 142.983. He was the fastest driver in the group. And then we had 3 GT1 cars. We had Michael Michelin in his McLaren 570S GT4. Now, I just said that that could be the GTX class, but no, it's not. It's our T1 class. We had 3 FIA GT4 cars running in T1 this morning. We had Michael Michelin again with a 145.665, about 9/10 of a second back from there was former GT1 national champion Tony Ave driving a Mercedes AMG GT4. He threw down a 146.579, and then we had Ann Doherty in her Porsche Club Sport with a 147.723. But all of those drivers and many, many more out on track currently. As a matter of fact, I think we've got somewhere along the lines of 20 drivers out here for our qualifying session this morning. Did I say this morning? This afternoon. Make that this afternoon. So we'll see how things are going to play out here as we've got drivers coming across the line in just a few moments. I was telling you that we had sitting in the background, did not get on mic a little while ago. We had Bailey Monette, who's your reigning GT3. Let's try that again. He's your reigning FE2 national champion. Well, currently, after one flying lap, his brother Zach Monette, driving the number 99 GT1 Ford Mustang, is your fastest driver on track. Joe Frito in his GT1 Chevy Corvette, second fastest, 87/100ths of a second back from there. Michael Michelin in his McLaren. McLaren 570S, third fastest overall, fastest in T1. If we jump down and take a look, your fastest GT2 car, Simon Asselin, as well, and in GT3, Stacy Wilson driving the GT3 Mazda RX-7. He's out of Englewood, Tennessee, and he is currently 12th fastest overall. But again, your fastest GT3 car. We do have a single GTX machine out on track, and that is Steve Weber out of St. Petersburg, Florida. He is driving the BMW M4 GT4. And so this is again a 25-minute qualifying session, and we do have one more session before the end of the day. And let's do this. Let's quickly make a call to the grid. Our first call to the grid for our last group to head out on track here today. Again, we're going to have 3 more qualifying sessions to start the day tomorrow. Attention in the paddock. Attention in the paddock. First call to the grid for race group number 5. That's Spec Miata if you could please make your way to the grid. Spec Miata drivers, the grid is now open. If you'd like to head on up, you're going to be on track in just about 20 minutes. All right, so let's take a look and see how things have changed monumentally in the last minute and a half. Let's start off at the top of the field here. Our top 4 drivers all driving the GT1 ground pounders. Again, in some cases up to, I think, close to 800 horsepower for these machines. Keith Grant driving the number 40 Chevy Camaro out of Germantown, Tennessee. He is your fastest driver with a 125.229. And he does that on lap number 2. Joe Frieda, 31 hundredths of a second back from there. Zach Monette, 54 hundredths of a second back from Frieda, 86 hundredths of a second off a provisional pole. Stephen Wiles with a 128.721. He's 3.5 seconds back from Keith Grant. 5th fastest right now, and your fastest in GT2 is now Jack Stanford in his Chevy Camaro. He's out of Commerce, Georgia, and Jack has a 129.771 that he's put in the books. That is 67 hundredths of a second up on Simon Aslin, our fastest driver in the class this morning. And then we've got Jason Barfield. Barfield's driving his Chevy Camaro. He's from Granville, Ohio, a 130.82. That is 1.1 seconds off of Stanford's times. Tiger Tom Patton. I love Tiger Tom's car. Of course, his Sunbeam Tiger from Fairfield Township, Ohio. A 132.568, his best time so far. In GT3, when we checked in last, it was Stacy Wilson, your fastest driver. Well, in what I like to call Spec RX-7, Jeff Durnell, driver of the number 63 machine out of Roswell, Georgia. He is your fastest driver on track currently, a 131.263, 1.4 seconds up on Stacy Wilson, while Blake Wilson in the number 33 machine, currently sitting 3rd in class. And so let's now move over to T1, where it is Michael McAleenan in his McLaren 570S, the GT4 machine, currently your fastest driver in T1. Ann Doherty in her Club Sport GT4 machine, that's a Porsche Boxster, a 134.783, her fastest time. She is 4.8 seconds off of McLeanan's class pole. Dustin Cornell, another 2.5 seconds back from there. And then Gary Crook, Tony Ave, who was out this morning in the Mercedes-AMG GT4, has not turned a wheel in qualifying as of yet. And there's Durnell. You just saw Durnell coming out of turns 10A and 10B in that bright red Mazda RX-7, and he is now bringing that car down the pit lane. And we'll see if he heads back out on track. Also on the pit lane right now is the McLaren 570S GT4 of Michael McAleenan, and he's out of Tacoma, Washington. So I'm sure that we will likely see Mr. McAleenan and that McLaren certainly at the Portland International Raceway round of the Super Tour, which is going to be in, I think, late May, but likely a couple weeks before at Thunder Hill Raceway, as well as we have a nice little West Coast swing. Actually, 2 rounds on the Super Tour, Thunder Hill and Portland, and then Pacific Coast Raceway, slightly north of that, will be on, I think, the week after Portland, but another majors. All right. And I think, coming into the pits now is the 33 machine, and that is Blake Wilson, one of our GT3 drivers. Of course, we already have, we've got Jeff Durnell on the pit lane. Stacy Wilson in the number 47 2nd Gen RX-7 just brought his car back to the pits, and then we've got Blake in the white number 33 2nd Gen RX-7. I think he actually came to stop on course for a moment, got the car rolling. He is now bringing his car back to the pits, and it looks like all 3 of our runners in GT3 have called it an end to the session after just 4 laps. The McLaren of McAleenan now back behind the wall as well. And in GT2, the Chevy SS, Jack Stanford, who for a few moments was our fastest driver in the class. He's now our second fastest driver behind Simon Asselin. He has got his car on the pit lane. Crew taking a look at tire temps, taking the little probe there in the right front tire. And we'll see if Stanford goes back out on track. He currently has a 129.636. He's only 39 thousandths off of the GT2 pole. But let's take a look and see what that means in the overall scheme of things. So Simon Asselin, actually, it's not bad. Simon Asselin, currently your 5th fastest driver overall. That would, if the checkered flag were to come out now, don't want to jinx it, but if it were, Asselin, our fastest driver in GT2, currently qualified 5th in this group, with Jack Stanford qualified 6th. That would make up, that would make up your 3rd row. So, that would have made up your 3rd row until Stephen Wiles in his GT1 Camaro out of Kansas City, Missouri, just decided to put his car 5th, or probably 4th, and Tom Patton 5th. So let's take a look here as we've got a new GT2 pole sitter, and that is Tiger Tom Patton with a 129.134. That is almost 4/10, actually more than 4/10, almost half a second faster than Simon Asselin. So let these drivers circulate a little bit more. Maybe put down some fast times here. I just saw the BMW M4 GT4 of Steven Weber cross the stripe. Now again, he is our sole GTX driver, and he puts down a 131.344, and that is good for 14th overall. All right, real quick here, let's make another call to the grid for our next group, and I'm wondering if this is probably a good time also for us to take a quick little break and thank some of our partners and sponsors. Attention in the paddock, attention in the paddock. Final second call to the grid for Spec Miata. Spec Miata drivers, please make your way to the grid. And so let's do this. Let's take that quick break. We'll be back here in just a few moments with more qualifying action from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where you are watching the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of SCCA's Super Tour. Hoosier's mission is to be the dominant, customer-driven provider of tires to race teams domestically and internationally. Realizing Hoosier's existence and continued success is dependent upon how well we meet our customers' expectations by providing the safest, most reliable, high-quality race tires that put you in the winner's circle. For more information, see one of our trackside support personnel or the local Hoosier Tire racing dealer nearest you, or contact us at HoosierTire.com. Hoosier Racing Tires, truly designed for champions.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, brakes, and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts both on the street and on the track. As official tire retailer of Sports Car Club of America since 1995 and sponsor of the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, Time Trials Nationals and National Tour, and Track Night in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories both on and off the track, which is why Sunoco has trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, NHRA, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRaceFuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive trailer partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because we build them with racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
If you like what you see today, become part of the action by joining Sports Car Club of America. Whether you want to drive, flag, or just have fun with cars, SCCA membership opens the door to all kinds of motorsports to feed your obsession, along with 65,000 like-minded members ready to be friends. Ask someone trackside how to get involved or visit scca.com for more information. All right, everybody, welcome back to the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, live from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It's day 1 of 3, and we're getting most of our qualifying sessions out of the way here this afternoon. We're going to wrap things up here. We've got our big bore group on track right now. We're going to round out the day with one more qualifying session, a 25-minute session for Spec Miata. But don't go away, man. Don't go away, period. Come on back tomorrow morning. We're going to be going live tomorrow morning, and also Sunday morning for that matter, right around 8 a.m., 8 a.m., 8:05, thereabouts. We're going to wrap up our qualifying tomorrow morning. We've got 3 qualifying sessions, and then we go racing, scheduled to start 9:50 a.m. with our very first 25-minute sprint race for our touring cars, actually our super touring cars, tomorrow morning. And then, of course, that we're going to run racing all throughout the day. And then we've got our feature races on Sunday, again, action starting at 8:05 a.m. So please stick with us. Don't let anything I say or do today turn you off. Brian Bielanski will be joining me for all the coverage tomorrow and on Sunday. And we may even have a couple, not only some guests, like we had Jim Murphy and like we had Jason Conso a little earlier, but we might have some guest commentators as well. You know, everybody's always looking to take my job. So we'll definitely have some action here as the checkered flag not quite out on this session. As a matter of fact, we've got, as fast as these cars were, I thought we'd already run through the checkered flag. We still got about 8 minutes here of qualifying in Big Bore. Let's take a look and run down the field. In GT1, your fastest driver, not only in class, but the fastest driver on track currently is Keith Grant, the number 40 Chevy Camaro. He's out of Germantown, Tennessee. A 1:22 flat is his time. Zach Monette, 1.3 seconds off of Grant's times. Joe Frieda, another 1.8 seconds back from there. That is your top 3 in GT1. Then we've got Stephen Wiles, who is your 4th fastest driver in GT1. They are your 4 fastest drivers in this entire group. When you get to 5th fastest, though, we move over to GT2, where Pete Peterson, and I love this car. And Pete Peterson has been running this Toyota for years. I mean, I checked in a couple years ago, and I thought perhaps the car was a little bit off pace, but he has got it singing here this afternoon. Pete Peterson out of Lumberton, North Carolina, is your provisional pole sitter in GT2. He's your 5th fastest driver overall with a time of 1:28.732. Tiger Tom Patton, 0.4 of a second back from there. Then we've got Simon Asselin, who was your fastest driver in qualifying this morning. Another 0.4 back from there than Jack Stanford. And Stanford, he's only got 0.04 of a second separating him and Simon Asselin. Al Rowland is your 5th fastest driver in GT2. Getting a GTX single driver this weekend. Steve Weber in his BMW M4 GT4. He's got a fast time of a 1:30.8. And that is good for 13th fastest overall. In GT3, and all of our GT3 drivers have brought their cars behind the wall, all 3 Mazda RX-7s. We've got the 3rd gen Mazda RX-7 of Jeff Durnell, the number 63 machine out of Roswell, Georgia. He's your provisional pole sitter in class with a time of 1:31.26. Then we've got Stacy and Blake Wilson, both in their 2nd gen RX-7s, both from Englewood, Tennessee. And I'm just going to say they're considerably off of Durnell's pace right now. We know that Blake was having some issues with his car on track before he brought it back behind the pit wall, but we'll say that Stacy and Blake, they've got some work to do tomorrow during their race. And if we then take a look at T1, Gary Crook in his Chevy Corvette. He's out of Pensacola, Florida. Fastest man on track, fastest person on track, I think is going to be a better way to put it here in T1. Gary with a 1:38.392. Dustin Cornell with a 1:36.4. Let me make sure I got this right here. I want to make, oh, you know what? I'm looking at things by position. Let's take a look here by time. In T1, Michael McAleen in his McLaren 570, your fastest driver. Ann Doherty in her Porsche Cayman, the Club Sport GT4, a 1:33.029, so about 3 seconds separating them. Then Dustin Cornell, Gary Crump, and again Tony Ave did not bring out the Mercedes AMG GT4. And I think Russ Lundberg, thank you for pointing out, and actually some of the staff here has been pointing out to me as well. Trans Am is going to be here in just a few weeks, and going to be some great TA and TA2 drivers. You may see some of our GT1 drivers in that event, and I know I'll probably be watching. A good friend Scott Conway should be our track announcer here. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta being his home track, and we'd love to have Scott join us this weekend. For those of you that are asking, and I don't see anybody asking in the chat, but if you were, he's out with Trans Am at NOLA Motorsports Park this weekend on the west bank of New Orleans. All right, so 3.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, give or take. It's 3:35, as you can see there on the ticker, and we are running things down here, and a number of drivers have brought their cars back to the pit lane. Looks like the Porsche 911, and I'm fairly certain that this is the GT2 machine of Simon Asselin, the number 81 machine. Looks like our emergency services folks are looking to tow him off the pit lane. So they've been getting a lot of, the folks in that black wrecker have been getting a lot of practice here today, towing people from the pit lane back to the paddock. And it looks like Simon Asselin's day is now done. He was our third fastest GT2 driver on track behind Tiger Time Patton and your provisional pole sitter in the class, Pete Peterson. And might want to remind everybody as you're watching, and we've gotten a lot of great comments both here on YouTube, on Facebook, on the SCCA Facebook page, and I've been getting messages through different messaging systems as well. I'll tell you, if you like the coverage here, there are two things that you can do for us, and it'll help bring our coverage to the masses, to more people. Please, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that, and as Brian says, smash that thumbs up button. And of course, if you haven't done so already, go and click on the subscribe button and make sure you click on that notification bell so you can get informed, get notifications whenever we go live with our race day and qualifying day coverage. We definitely appreciate it. But yeah, go and smash that thumbs up button. All right, quickly here, want to make an announcement. With the driver of the number 165 machine in Group 4, and I'm gonna try and bring up that, see if I can get that car, but the driver of the number 165 machine, if you could please head to timing and scoring on the second floor of the media center to speak to the folks in timing and scoring. Apparently your transponder was not working. Again, driver of the number 165 machine, well, you'd think I'd be able to pull that up. That's Jorge Nazario, driver of the Chevy Corvette. If you can please bring your car to don't bring your car. If you could please bring yourself to timing and scoring on the second floor of the tower. Apparently there's some issues with your transponder. You'd think I'd know that this is group number 4 out on track right now, Zach, and Brendan, but apparently I don't. All right, so time is now wandering down. We got 12 seconds left on the clock, and the folks on the starter stand, they've all got their hands on the checkered flag. That should be flying here in just a second. There are like 3 people on the starter stand, so they're all fighting over it right now. Let's see there. Here we go. Checkered flag is in the air. First driver to take the checkered flag. Beautiful, beautiful Chevy Corvette. That was, I believe, the number 11 car. No, that could have been the 11 car because Barfield's driving a Camaro. 41 of Gary Crook. Yeah, 41 of Gary Crook. First driver to take the checkered flag. All right, and so all drivers ahead of Gary on their last, ahead of Gary on their last flying laps here. Let's do this. Let's make a final call to the grid for our next group. Anybody left that hasn't taken the checkered flag already here is he's going down the back straight. So let's go and we'll break things down. Fastest driver on track, GT1 Camaro, Keith Grant with a 121.987. Zach Monette second fastest in his GT1 Ford Mustang, a 123.328. Joe Frieda in his GT1 Corvette, a 125.117. And then Stephen Wiles in his Chevy Camaro, fourth fastest. All those drivers in GT1. Pete Peterson in his GT2 Toyota Celica, scheduled to start fifth. And again, these are all provisional. Don't hold me to them. There may be actions taken after the session. I don't want to know about it. But no, actually, these are we only had 4 drivers during qualifying this morning, and they were pretty far off of these times. I think this is how the starting grid's going to play out. So Pete Peterson should be starting on the inside of row number 3 with Richard Grant in his GT1 Corvette starting 6th. Tiger Tom Patton starting right behind Richard Grant, second fastest in GT2. And then Simon Asselin, 8th. Jack Stanford, Michael McAleenan, rounding out your top 10 in the group. All right, so let's do this. Let's take a quick little break. We're going to have our Spec Miata group up next. It's going to be our last qualifying session of the day. And when we come back, 25 minutes of qualifying here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for the Sports Car Club of America. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Learn more at Hagerty.com. Hagerty, let's drive together.
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, brakes, and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts both on the street and on the track. As official tire retailer of Sports Car Club of America since 1995 and sponsor of the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, Time Trials Nationals and National Tour, and Track Night in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
For over 25 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded Hawk Performance Motorsports brake pads. Now you can have their advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or SUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With the improved HP Plus pad for that hybrid street and track feel, or Super Duty pads for tow vehicles, their all-new ER1 brake pad designed to take on even the longest race, and their all-new high-performance brake fluid, Hawk has all of your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com and like them on Facebook or Instagram to learn more about the Hawk Performance Vantage. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Winning takes work. Getting parts is easy. SummitRacing.com.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories both on and off the track, which is why Sunoco has trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, NHRA, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRaceFuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
And we're back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and we've got one last qualifying session here of the day, and or on the day, and then we start it all again tomorrow at 8:05 in the morning, where we'll have 3 more qualifying sessions, and then we will go racing starting at just around 9:50 a.m. So here out on track at the moment is, as you can see, It's Spec Miata, and you know what? We had a few more drivers go out than just the 4 that went out this morning in our big board group. We had 37 drivers go out, and that's one thing I love about Spec Miata. Rain nor shine, they're like mailmen. Well, they send it pretty much all the time, but in poor conditions and great conditions, they're all going out there working on their skills and working and trying to figure out the best way around almost every racetrack under any racing condition. So fastest driver in this morning's qualifying session, Chuck Matudis, with a 144.444. He's out of Little Mountain, South Carolina, driving the number 66 OPM Autosports machine. Nick Leveroni from Flat Out Motorsports and out of Mendon, Massachusetts, with a 145.016, so about half a second off of Matudis. Nick Bruni, who's our reigning national champion, driving the number 1 machine here out of Arlington, Virginia, a 145.044. So as you can see there, only I think 28 thousandths of a second separating Leveroni and Bruni. And Skip Brock Jr. Driving the number 61 machine, a 146.485. Sean Noonan, 5th fastest. John Newdorf. Logan Stretch in the 98 machine. And I just remember back to the issues that Logan was having with his Wheels America machine at Circuit of the Americas at his home track, but did very well on a damp track earlier today than Sam Craven. Anthony Garacci, who we saw a little bit earlier today at his Lotus Exige, is now out this weekend in his Spec Miata as well. Cliff Brown rounded out the top 10. And maybe a little surprising, Jim Drago, multi-time national champion, just out of the top 10. 12th fastest behind the 193 machine of Raiden Nickel, who he had a great fight with at Circuit of the Americas. Also, let's see here, a couple other drivers a little surprised to see back in the pack, like Brett Kowalski, Skylar Cottrell as well, running 18th and 19th. But again, damp conditions, and I don't think many of these, if any of these times, are going to stick that from this morning's session are going to stick in setting the grid for tomorrow morning's race. As you can watch, look at this as this field is coming out of turn 7. All of them working the draft. There goes Jim Drago with a line of like 7 cars back behind him. But as all of these drivers are really working that draft, and the few that are all by themselves coming out of 7 onto the back straight without a draft partner, they're the ones that are going to suffer during qualifying here. You can just tell with that long straight, it is just incredibly important to have at least one drafting partner. Now, I don't know if being in a line that is 8 cars deep or so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 cars, including Jim Drago there. I don't know if I'd want to be in the middle of that group, for example, but we'll see how things play out here. And again, this is our final qualifying session of the afternoon. And hey, Brian Bielanski, who's going to be joining me tomorrow, says he's glad to see that the weather steward finally arrived. That's because Brian is still drying out his boots from butt willow. And definitely good to see it. Hey, Rick Harris from out in Topeka from the national office, former national champion. Rick Harris says hello, Greg. Hi, Rick. How you doing? And oh, somebody was asking. That was actually from our last group, Ryan Martin, who was asking who was driving the C8 Corvette. And I think we did mention that here. And Rico 387 saying that Road Atlanta is one of the top 15 tracks in the world. I would tend to agree. I might even put it in the top 10. But certainly not only top 10, but top 1, going to the top of the leaderboard now here in Spec Miata is Danny Stain. We saw him earlier today in STL, where he was your fastest driver on track. And he and his teammate from OPM Autosports, Chuck Matudis, definitely working together here. Stain out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a 142.672. Matudis, a 142.819, 1400ths of a second separating them right now. But I would think that you will see them setting very comparative lap times over the course of this entire session. Logan Stretch now moves to 3rd fastest in his number 98 car, a 143.347. Skip Brock, Sam Craven, your top 5. And we've got a car off in the gravel here on the outside of turn 10, actually 10B, heading up the hill towards that Fox Factory Bridge. And I'm fairly certain from the paint job that is Nick Bruni, your reigning national champion in the class. I'll be very surprised if it is not. We'll try and get a number on that bus here, but that is likely going to bring out a black flag here soon enough. Still sitting down on the side. We'll see if the folks on the starter stand, and yeah, they're reaching for the black flag in order to bring that car out and get that car out of the gravel trap. We're going to need to go black flag all, bring all of our drivers down the pit lane. We are now 7 minutes, a little bit over 7 minutes into this 25-minute qualifying session, so still a lot of time on the clock if they can get that car extricated. But again, I'm fairly certain that is the number 1 car of Nick Bruni. All right, sounds like we might have at least one other car off, and this is coming down the hill between, as you get down towards the bottom of the S, there you go, coming right out of turn 3, going down the hill. You can see there, just right next to our ticker, driver's right, parked off on the grass there, and again, that's a beautiful view as cars come over the crest at turn number 3, a very difficult turn. As you come out of turn 1, sweeping turn 1, go up the hill, the track tightens up. You've got that little kink to the left at turn 2, and then at turn 3, the car is so loaded up, and it is such a high-speed turn there. Drivers trying to use that concrete patch over at the apex at turn number 3. Certainly a difficult turn to go side by side down the hill, but we'll see how that plays out. And that appears to be the 108 car that is there. That is Jordan Rick Segrini, and I know Jordan from a number of iRacing leagues, the Rick Motec World Challenge and Rick Motec Sports Car Series, where he drives an MX-5. But as we've got a lot of cleanup here, we're going to be trying to get that car out of the gravel trap at 10. We're going to be trying to get that car most likely. And there you can see emergency services vehicles rolling up now on the outside of turn 3. Why don't we take a quick break? Thanks to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll bring you to the very end of qualifying here today at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive trailer partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because we build them with racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
For over 25 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded Hawk Performance Motorsports brake pads. Now you can have their advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or SUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With the improved HP Plus pad for that hybrid street and track feel, or Super Duty pads for tow vehicles, their all-new ER1 brake pad designed to take on even the longest race, and their all-new high-performance brake fluid, Hawk has all of your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com and like them on Facebook or Instagram to learn more about the Hawk Performance Advantage. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of SCCA's Super Tour. Hoosier's mission is to be the dominant, customer-driven provider of tires to race teams domestically and internationally. Realizing Hoosier's existence and continued success is dependent upon how well we meet our customers' expectations by providing the safest, most reliable, high-quality race tires that put you in the winner's circle. For more information, see one of our trackside support personnel or the local Hoosier Tire racing dealer nearest you, or contact us at HoosierTire.com. Hoosier Racing Tires, truly designed for champions.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
Summit Racing is proud to support SCCA racers through the Road Racing Contingency Program. Run the required decals to be eligible for contingency payouts.
Welcome to the 2023 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, where we bring together top SCCA road racers from around the country to compete in the premier amateur road racing series. The Hoosier Super Tour visits some of the greatest racetracks in North America, showcasing our 27 car classes and packing a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing action into every event. And now you can enjoy the live streaming coverage of the Hoosier Super Tour events on site or from the comfort of your own home. Find those details and more at scca.com/live. And for those of you that are here at the track as you're driving around the facility, if you have trouble picking up parts of the PA system for whatever reason, which given the incredible PA system here that has been put together, you can always pick us up on Radio Road Atlanta, 98.1 on your FM dial. You know, just put it on in your car, and it'll be like I'm following you around the whole facility. It's cool that way. And yeah, great PA system put together by Dave Miller, who was just out earlier making sure that I didn't blow anything up, which is good. He says I passed the test. All right, so we are under black flag conditions here at the raceway. You can see we're still trying to get that car loaded up onto the flatbed outside of turn 10B. Again, we think that is Nick Bruni, national champion in the number 1 machine, and yeah, I think it's looking a little more noticeable now. Meathead Mike Collins isn't going to be too happy to see that, but that's one of the East Street Racing Team's machines there. We did also have a car off at just outside of turn 3, heading down the hill, and I think that they have cleared that incident. As I take a scan of the corner. Yep, look, exit of turn 3. It's all clear, so we're just worried about that one now down at 10A. So let's take a look here and reset the field. Danny Stain out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Charles McTudis, the 2 teammates from OPM. They are 1-2 right now, 0.12 of a second separating them. Logan Stretch, another 0.7 back from there in the number 98 machine. Skip Brock Jr. in the number 61. He is about 2/10 off of Stretch's times. Then we've got Sam Craven, less than 1/10 back from Brock. Nick Leveroni, who was our second fastest driver in qualifying this morning. He is currently 6th fastest. He's only 0.03 of a second off of Sam Craven's times. Then we've got Jonathan Newdorf, 0.04 of a second off of Leveroni. Raiden Nickel, another 0.04 back. And now Jim Drago finds himself in the top 10. I think the last time we checked in on Jim, he was your 12th fastest driver. He's now your 9th fastest driver. He's only 0.16 of a second back from Raiden Nickel. Brian Henderson, great to see Brian back. Brian's out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Always very strong, ran incredibly well at the National Championship runoffs 2 years ago. And I think he had a broken wrist last year. Couldn't race at the runoffs, but good to see. Good to see the number 97 machine back. Another one of his Washington, D.C. region stalwarts, Peter Enser. Only 0.09 of a second back from Henderson. We'll see if those two are working together. I'm looking down the long pit lane here as drivers are now heading back out on track. And with the clock now just a touch under 10 minutes remaining here in qualifying. I know we've got our timing tower there saying about 8 minutes and 40 seconds. I have it at somewhere closer to 9.5 minutes right now. So we'll call it. It's like watching a soccer match. It's bonus time. What are they? Injury minutes? Stoppage time. Yeah. Injury time. Maybe after we're getting this. Yep. And you'll notice right now, coming off the pit lane, we've got the in-camera view from Mickey Moran, and he can show you how quickly he can go down the pit lane. No pit lane speed limiters in these Spec Miatas, as he was doing about 60 coming off and up the track here. Let's sit on board with Mickey here as he does at least a portion of his outlap here in Spec Miata. And I'm sure you can see there, Moran, he's got a pretty big gap to the car ahead of him as he comes through that cambered turn at number 6 and sets up for turn number 7. And I'm sure it would do him a lot of good to be able to get up to that train of cars directly in front of him without, as we talked earlier, without the benefit of the draft. Much like in Spec Racer Ford, it can definitely hurt you and hurt your speed down the front straight as we jump back to live action here as drivers have completed their outlap, and we're back to setting fast laps here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, again with Danny Stain, Charles McTutis, Chuck McTutis, your 2 fastest drivers on track. Coming down the pit lane, looks like the number 59 machine is going to be, he came down the pit lane, came off the track. Is he going all the way back down? Maybe he was trying to find a piece of clear pavement. And the 59 car, he's gonna rejoin the fray there. That is Bailey Sigler out of Mooresville, North Carolina, currently 46th fastest. Maybe looking for a different gap in traffic. And now about 7 minutes remaining in the session here. Great view. And talk about iconic views of Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta over the years is to watch and see as the cars just drop down. They come out of turn 3. You can see there all the way at the top of the hill as they come down turn 3, come down the S's. You have that compression down at the bottom. You then rise back up turn number 5. And just the views here from Spectator Hill on turn 5, where I've spent many a race spectating, oddly enough. And we've got a car off pace now, and coming through turn 1 and going up the hill. We'll try and get the number on that as we have a big line of cars now coming through turn 1. They're going to probably come up on that slower car going down through the S's. You can see now just off pace there. It looks like they're covering it with a white flag. That's the flag stand at turn number 3. And yeah, he's going to have a whole line of cars coming up on him. And we've got a car off now. And it looks like, I think that was on the, yep, and that was at the outside of 3 and has now rejoined. It looks like, and there you can see Stain and McTutis paired up and working together. A couple cars back from the back of that field there, but they're all coming up on that slower car now, and they may have this time incredibly well. That slower car, and he may have actually just been waiting for this train of cars. We'll see what happens when he comes out of 7. No, he does pull all the way offline. They get to him at probably the best time you could imagine, and as just after they come out of turn 7, come onto the front straight. We'll probably see him let out of the throttle a little bit and let those cars by going down into 10A at the bottom of the hill as they come up to the crest of the hill there. Still trying to get the number on that bus. But let's see here. Rated Nickel last time by did set his personal best. He's your 3rd fastest driver. He was, last time we looked, he was 8th fastest. He is now 3rd fastest, turned in a 1:43.254 as this whole gaggle of drivers comes out of 10A and now down the hill. And we can see a couple people jockeying for position coming through turn 12 down the hill. Definitely not the fast way through, but 2 drivers showing some discipline. And that is Danny Stain and Chuck McTutis. And a little bit further back from there, actually now that line going down into turn 1, the second pairing, that is Jim Drago and Rated Nickel, the 193 machine and the number 2 machine. And like that, teamwork pays off as Stain and McTutis stay up at the top of the order, but Drago and Nickel now are now 3rd and 4th fastest. Jim Drago turning in a 1:43.034, and teammate there, Ray Nickel, just a little bit off those times at a 1:43.254. All right, so we followed this train once again, and it looks like Jim Drago has now swapped positions with the car ahead, maybe doing a little bit of pushing instead of a little bit of pulling down the back straight as they come down over the crest of the hill, come under braking into turn number 10A and 10B. Looks like Logan Stretch is paired up with another driver. Let's take a look here. Stretch is paired up with the number 95 machine of Jonathan Neudorf. They are working together. Of course, we see McTudis and Stain together. Now Nick Leveroni moves up into 7th fastest in the number 43 car. I'll have to check and see who he's partnering with. He just turns in a 1:43.466. And, that is only 8/10 off of Stain's provisional pole time. I think when we had the Spec Racer Fords out, I was telling you how close the field was and how we had 12 drivers all within a second of one another. Well, here in Spec Miata, we got 13 drivers all within a second of one another. Sam Craven is exactly 1 second and 1/100th off of Danny Stain's provisional pole time of a 1:42.665. As we now have a little bit under 2 minutes remaining here in qualifying. Again, I think we've got maybe a little bit more time than what's showing on the ticker there, but not much. But so again, everybody, please remember this is our last session of the day, but we are going to be starting it all up once again tomorrow. We're going to be going live at just about between 8 o'clock and 8:05 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to be wrapping up our qualifying sessions. We're going to have qualifying for our small bore drivers, for our big open wheel and prototype drivers, as well as B-Spec and Touring 3 and Touring 4. Again, that action starts at 8:05, and we anticipate somewhere around 9:50 a.m. tomorrow we go racing. We have 8 races tomorrow. We've got 4 races before lunch, 4 races after lunch. These are all 25-minute timed races. And then on Sunday, we've got 35 minutes or 19 laps, whichever comes first. Same start time, about 8:05. All right, so checkered flag is now out on the session. Last flying laps here will count, and we still have a large contingent of drivers making their way around the field. It looks as though Jim Drago has come down the pit lane. His session is done. I think same for Raiden Nickel. But the majority of drivers, and you can see the Congo line coming down through the S's right now, right behind Stain and McTudis. Stain in that bright blue and Dayglow orange livery, Chuck McTudis in the yellow and black right behind, and they have been locked nose to tail working together from the drop of the green flag, and they are still the top 2 drivers at the moment. They would have your front row locked out. So let's see here as that group now comes down the back straight. It is taking a look, see if anybody in the last lap set fast laps. Skip Brock Jr., driver of the number 61 machine, he moves up to 8th place ahead of Peter Enser and Spencer Lofton. On the last lap, we also had Zach Barfield turn in a new personal best. 15th fastest, Frankie Barroso, Julian DaCosta, all these drivers that are driving together. A little bit of a surprise, Max Sapolsky here out of Conifer, Colorado, driving, and just saw Max just last weekend. Well, I wasn't there, but saw him running in Global MX5 Cup at St. Pete. Looked like he had at least one good race out of 2. The number 21 machine currently 20th fastest, as many of the drivers are calling it quits on their last flying lap. But Danny Stain, Charles McTudis on their last flying laps set new fast laps and separate themselves out a little bit from the 3rd fastest driver. Danny Stain, a 1:42.632. Charles McTudis, a 1:42.619. So almost identical lap times, and shouldn't be a surprise that there is, 13 thousandths of a second separating them as they were locked nose to tail pretty much the entirety of their last flying lap. Jim Drago, 4/10 of a second back with a 1:43.034. Third fastest driver, Rated Nickel, driver of the number 193 machine out of Hockton, Georgia. Fourth fastest, Brian Henderson from Fredericksburg, Virginia, driving the number 97 car. Fifth fastest, then Logan Stretch, sixth. Nick Leveroni, seventh. Skip Brock Jr., eighth. Peter Enser, ninth. Spencer Lofton is 10th. Brett Kowalski, 11th. Skylar Cottrell, 12th. Sam Craven, 1.04 seconds back. He's your first driver over a second off of pole. 13th fastest. Jonathan Newdorf is your next fastest driver. Zach Barfield, Frankie Barroso, Julian DaCosta, Matt Stretch, Noah Harmon, and Max Sapolsky, your top 20. We do have a car that is off track, actually, right here on the front straight, just past the Michelin Bridge. Oh, I'm sorry. No, not past the Michelin Bridge. Over in the gravel trap at turn 10 on that last lap, and I think that probably is what probably brought out or caused that long line of cars to all take to the pit lane on their very last lap, as they all had to slow up there going into 10A, 10B. But there you go. And hopefully we'll have him back soon. But that is going to wrap things up for qualifying here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Again, if you like what you hear, even if you don't like me, hey, if you like what you hear, you like what you see, go ahead and smash that like button on YouTube, and leave some comments. Actually, comments do really well if you leave comments there on both YouTube and also Facebook, on the SCCA Facebook page. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the SCCA Sports Car Club of America YouTube channel so you can get notifications whenever we go live. So again, we will have qualifying action wrapping up tomorrow morning at 8:05 a.m. and then we go racing at 9:50. It'll be Brian Bielanski and myself, and maybe some special guests as well. Want to thank the great folks from DriversEye Live. We've got Zach Johnson, our director. We've got Brendan Kesmerick, our producer, and for all the folks here with the Atlanta region of the SCCA, our hosts, I'm Gregg Ginsberg, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 8:05 a.m. Join us then.